what the black man and woman needs to know about the nation, about the world, about themselves. Muhammad Speaks It. To order your 12-issue subscription to Muhammad Speaks newspaper, 313-371-7033. 313-371-7033. Kareem Bean Pie is the grand champion of all bean pies. The rich flavor and smooth texture takes this pie to a whole new level of delicious. One bite and you'll understand why people all over the country call daily to order Kareem Bean Pie. 313-371-7033. That's 313-371-7033. Kareem Bean Pie.
This bean pie is delicious.
Muhammad Speaks presents Messenger Elijah Muhammad's Teachings by Minister Khalil Shabazz every Sunday from 2 to 3 p.m. at Muhammad's Temple of Islam, 12609 East McNichols Road in Detroit.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. All praise is due to Allah, the Lord of the worlds, the Beneficent, the Merciful. So, Master's Day of Judgment in which we now live, the alone do we serve, and the alone seek for thine help and aid. O Allah, please guide us on the right path, path of those upon whom thou hast bestowed thy favors, not on the path of those upon whom thy wrath is brought down, nor those who go astray after they heard thy teachings. Say he, Allah is one God. Allah is he of whom nothing is independent, but upon whom we all depend. He begetteth not, nor is he begotten, there is none like him. And I bear witness that none is to be served, worship, or praise besides Allah, who came in the person of Master Farah Muhammad. And I bear witness that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is our true servant and last apostle. Ameen. We'd like to acknowledge the brothers and sisters that extended us the greetings of Assalamu Alaikum. We have the Rafiq family. We have Brother John Ali from Chicago. We have Minister Michael Shabazz from Long Beach. We have Minister Michael Shabazz from Gary, Indiana. We have Minister Mutaquan Ali from Philly. We have Brother Yusuf Shabazz from Newport News, Virginia. We have Brother Mutaquan Ali, or Mutakabir Ali from New Jersey. And we have Minister Malik from New York. And I'd like to say, in the name of Allah, who came in the person of Master Farah Muhammad, and in the name of his last and greatest messenger, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, I'd like to greet the brothers and sisters with the Nation of Islam's greeting words of peace of Assalamu Alaikum. Today we'd like to talk about the May 3rd, 1968 Muhammad Speaks, and it's called The Black Man Must Rise. The messenger says, the time is right that the black man of America, descendants from our slave parents, must be taught the truth of self and others, and what is about to take place in regards to the world. Without this knowledge, the knowledge of self, the knowledge of God, the knowledge of the religion, Islam, that God will demand us to obey, follow, and carry into practice, one is doomed. Because the difference between how the messenger presented Islam to us and how Islam is presented now is the messenger was presenting to us a God. He wasn't just presenting to us just the black man as God with the personal stuff. And he was presenting it to us like if we don't accept it, we doomed. Like it wasn't no option. It wasn't like the Nation of Islam is just another group of black people who got some black talk and we all just come together to do all this different kind of stuff. It was like if you didn't accept the messenger, you doomed. That's how it was. It wasn't no options. Like you got some other option. So the messenger is saying that Allah is presenting to us his religion for us to practice unless we are doomed. So he goes on to say, while here on religion, I must say to you of my people that you have never been taught the true religion of God. The true religion of God, the entire submission to the will of God, that the Arabs call Islam. So the messenger is saying we ain't never been taught Islam. Never. That's another thing that's different than now. We act like, well, Noble Drew Ali came and he was teaching too. You know, Marcus Garvey came and he was teaching too, and we had Sunni Muslims and all that. The messenger said we ain't never been taught true religion of God. Never. That means never. We ain't been taught the true religion of God until Master Farad Muhammad came. That's the facts. That's what it is. That's how the messenger was presenting the religion to us. No other option. God came in a person. He about to set up a new government. If you accept it, you live. You reject it, you die. And that's how he always talked about it. He never stopped talking about it like that. Like we had an option. Even when the nation was booming, all them businesses, he still taught it the same way. This is your only salvation. Then he goes on to say, this common sense teaches us that if God is going to rule the people after the removal of the wicked rulers of this present world, we must obey him, his government, and we must obey the government and present ruler. We must obey him and his government as we obey the government and present rulers of this government. So he explaining it to us in the form of it's going to be a government. And the same way we obey this government, it's the same way we're going to have to obey Allah and the new government. But with this new school stuff, the way we present it, we don't present it like we're going to have to obey Allah. We present it like we all about to be just doing our thing, like what we want to do. But he presented it to us like the government of America. Even if you are a mayor of a city in this government, you still got to obey the rules. If you're a governor, if you're a senator, whatever kind of politician you are, even the president got rules he got to follow. So the messenger was presenting this new government to us the same way the government of America is going to be run. You're going to have to follow rules. It ain't going to be all praise due to Allah. It ain't going to be a thing like the black man is God, so that means we can just decide what we want to do and we making this government. No, Allah is in control. This government has already been made up. It's just we waiting on the devil to be destroyed. That's what it is. But everything that's going to happen already been decided before the white man was even made. That's what we need to understand. It ain't nothing we got no input to put into what's going to happen. It's already been decided. Everything already been decided. It's like, is you going to accept it or not? That's what we waiting on. Who going to accept it or reject it? Because everybody going to have a choice. Whether they want to accept it or reject it, this new government. Just like with the Indians. They had an option with the white man. You going to accept this or reject it. All that stuff you was doing before, it ain't going to be considered in this. We already got what we want done before we even asked you. We know what we want to do. Is will you accept it? And if you don't accept it, you don't. So all them Indians, the white man had to kill off a lot of Indians to start this government. He didn't accept nothing from them. Nothing. They couldn't even practice their own way of life. They couldn't even wear their own hairstyle. That's how the white man changed the Indians' government. The same way it's going to be with Islam. We ain't going to be able to bring nothing out with us. Same way. We ain't going to be able to bring our own little ideas, say, oh, I think it's supposed to be like this. But I don't care what you think. You got to accept his way, his government. And the government already been set up and designed. We just, with us, we just accept it or reject it. The messenger says, every God and superior power ruler demands obedience to their will. Certainly the white race has demanded obedience to their government, and we have been trying to obey it. This means their will. Now a righteous government is to replace the unrighteous government. So the messenger once again continually trying to explain to us how we gonna have to accept a new government the exact same way how we accept the white man. We don't make no decisions as black people here with the white man. No decisions. He tell us what it is, and we accept it. That same way, even though the black man is God. But that same way, we accept the white man's way is the way we're going to have to accept Master Farad Muhammad's way. And we don't present Islam to people like that no more. It's like it's an option. It's like you got your input, what you think, what I think, and we just come to, no. Because the importance of the Muhammad Speaks newspaper is the messenger was putting Allah's standards in the paper for everybody to read, because everybody gonna get a chance to accept or reject this new government. That's what it is. It ain't for us to have an input. It's for us to read over it and say, oh, I like that. I like how the MGT got to come and cover their hair. I like how the FOI, I like this 1 meal a day. So I accept this. All praise to do it to Allah. It ain't like you get to come to the nation and then say what you like. Like, I like wearing beards. You know, I think we should wear beards. You know, I don't think we should shave every day. Sisters come in and start designing new styles. Like, I think we should have our headpiece like this with a little hair showing. No, it's already been decided. All you can do is say I accept it or I reject it. And the one thing that's missing in this new school stuff is that Savior's letter. I don't know if a lot of people even write their Savior's letter, because that Savior's letter is the foundation of everything as a Muslim. Right. You saying you accept Master Farad Muhammad as God, that's right. You accept the messenger as the messenger, and you want a holy name. That's right. That's the foundation of it for us. You accepting that. And the messenger on hypocrites he wrote. Because the thing that we miss in this new school stuff is we take the opinion of people who left the Nation of Islam and they telling us what they think that the messenger taught and what he meant and all that. The messenger had articles on hypocrites. He talked about how we got it in black and white that you said you believe. That's right. We got it in black and white because the messenger didn't like brothers leaving the nation forming their own group. But see, we don't present the teachings like that no more. We act like the messenger made all these different leaders. And we act like, oh, look at what the messenger, look at this brother, look at that brother. But the messenger, because we haven't even scratched the surface on talking about hypocrites at all. The messenger had articles on hypocrites, telling you who is a hypocrite. Because that's the one thing we need to know in this new school. What classifies a person as being a hypocrite? Because the messenger would say, be careful who you follow because you might be following a hypocrite. Right. So if the messenger put these articles in the Muhammad speaks about who a hypocrite is, why we don't know what the messenger said who a hypocrite is? What makes you a hypocrite? Because that Savior's letter was the basis of your belief. Because the messenger said you actually saying you believe as the messenger believes. Right. So once you write that Savior's letter, ain't no more I think it's like this. Ain't no more I'm going to leave and I'm going to start my own group. That Savior's letter is the basis of it all. Right. And when you write your Savior's as the messenger said, we got it on record. That you said. Right. You believe like the messenger believed. Right. We don't talk Islam like that no more. We don't expose the hypocrites. The messenger used to expose the hypocrites. Right. He used to expose them hypocrites, tell you play by play who is a hypocrite. What makes you a hypocrite? Never trust a hypocrite. Be hard against the hypocrites. All praise to Allah. That's what he used to say. Be hard against them. Watch the hypocrites. Always watch them. He always had articles like that about hypocrites. We don't even talk about hypocrites no more. We don't know what our belief's supposed to be, and we don't know who a hypocrite is. So you can have a brother right in your face teaching Islam who could be a hypocrite, and we don't even know. That's right. A hypocrite telling you about what the messenger expected of you. A hypocrite making you love other hypocrites. Telling you to accept hypocrites. Because when the messenger was alive, all this Sunni Islam ain't for us. That's right. Sunni Islam. Right. God came in the person of Master Farad Muhammad and taught us what we need to know. That's right. Now, if a brother want to be a Sunni Muslim, he never accepted Islam. That's good. We still respect that brother. That's his choice. He made his choice. Right. Everybody get the choice. So whatever you choose is you. We ain't mad at you. You want to be a Sunni. But if you used to be a Muslim and you a Sunni, you a hypocrite now. Right. That's what you is. Ain't no more, oh, this my brother, he was in the nation, but now he a Sunni. No. Because the messenger said, we got on in black and white that you said you believe. You the one who said it, because it's a process to writing your Savior's letter. It's a process. It ain't something that you just do. It's a process that you explain the process. This ain't nothing that's forced on you. The process is explained. This is how you write this Savior's letter. This is what you do. You can send it in, it get inspected, and it could get denied, and you got to write it again. You explain that. So everybody who comes sitting here, nothing is forced on you. So this choice that you make is something that you made. It ain't nothing nobody done forced on you. So when you write that Savior's letter, you read how it's supposed to go. You say, okay, I'm writing this. I believe this. I'm waiting on my ex. Then when it come back, accept it. You in it now. Yes, sir. Ain't no more, oh, I think that, no. It was explained to you. Right. You accepted. Right. Nobody forced you. You came to the temple. You decided to come to the temple. They gave you the letter. They gave you the instructions. Told you what it was. You filled it out. You waited on it to come back. Now it's accepted. Now it's on you now. Right. It's on you now. Yes, we got it on record that you said. Yes, you believe. It's on you now. Allah holding you to that. Just like any contract you sign. Once you sign that contract, you can't say, oh, well, I think, no, we don't care what you think. You could have not understood what you were signing. You signed it. Now you held to it. It's up to you. That's what joining the Nation of Islam means. So the messenger used to write articles on hypocrites. That's how you decide who a hypocrite is or not. Because that Savior's letter, you saying you believe as the messenger believes, not as some other brother believes. That's right. Yeah. Not as some other minister. You ain't writing your letter to a minister. You ain't writing no letter to your wife or to your kids. You writing your letter for yourself. That's right. Of the conscious decision that you made. Right. So once you write that letter, and you done made that decision, and you turn back on that conscious decision you made, you're a hypocrite. That's right. That's what a hypocrite is. So you got, in this new school stuff, a lot of hypocrites teaching Islam. That's right. A lot of hypocrites tell, that's why we don't present Islam to the black man like the messenger presented it to him. We present it to him like this is an organization. We present it to him like you got an option. We present it to him like if you ever decide you don't want to be here no more, you can just leave and do what you want to do. No. That's why the messenger said we don't socialize with those in bad standing out of the temple. It's rules. It's regulations. We don't socialize with those in bad standing out of the temple. Why? They could be a hypocrite. We don't socialize with hypocrites. The messenger made that plain. So, in this article, the messenger is telling us that the black man must rise. It's not an option. The black man gonna rise. He must rise. And the only way he gonna rise is through Islam. That's right. Islam as taught by the messenger. Yes, sir. That's the only way he gonna rise. And when we look at these Muhammad Speaks newspapers and look at the history, the messenger was making headway to making the black man rise. When we look at the history. When you look at the history of the Nation of Islam, that they keep in these, what they call them, the Nation of Islam archives. Because this is the reason why a lot of people don't understand Islam today. Is because the messenger said in his articles, this comes from Allah. Yeah. That he put in these. This is like if you're an Orthodox Muslim. You say you practicing Islam, but you got the Holy Quran hanging up on the wall. And you don't read the Holy Quran. How you an Orthodox Muslim and you practicing Islam if your book, if your guidance is hanging up on the wall? Right. How can you say that you practicing that? You can't say you practicing. How can you say you are a Muslim if you would allow the Holy Quran to be hanging on the wall and you don't read? Right. But you talking about you believe in it. Yeah. This is your guide. But your guide is hanging up on the wall. No. The messenger didn't write Muhammad Speaks newspaper articles for us today to just take it for granted and say, hey, we'll just put it on the wall. Because if we put these papers on the wall, what papers is we selling to the black man? Right. What we telling them? Right. Because if this is still the same truth we following, why can it be hanging up on the wall? Right. Messenger got articles about hypocrites in here. Do we still be writing articles about hypocrites? What we telling you about a hypocrite different than what the messenger telling you about a hypocrite? Like, why would you want to have the messenger's articles on the wall? Because in this Muhammad Speaks newspaper, this is the November 24th, 1967 Muhammad Speaks newspaper. And in this Muhammad Speaks newspaper, they was having a Muhammad Speaks newspaper drive. And this is one reason why these brothers be having these papers with this archive stuff. In these papers, you see how important the messenger's message was to get out to the black man. Because he said the black man must rise. And this decision that you make depends on life or death. When the messenger was alive, this wasn't no thing like, oh, I don't care if the black man don't get it. Muslims were trying to get these papers in the hand of every black man in this country. That was the purpose of the Muhammad Speaks newspaper. It wasn't like we just selling papers for something to do as Muslims. The point is that every black man must have the option to choose or reject the teachings of the messenger. That's the idea of the messenger. It wasn't just getting something out there to you for you to read some other black group's publication. The point was, you deciding on your life. That's what it is. So you used to have, the messenger would have Muhammad Speaks newspaper drives. In the title of this article, it says, Muhammad's message moves across America. Now in this picture, you got ministers and captains with bundles of papers. Under the article, it says, brilliant and devoted followers of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad represent one of the reasons why Muhammad Speaks is fast becoming the most widely circulated black periodical in America. These members of Muhammad's Mosque of Islam No. 7, New York City, leading the circulation drive on the East Coast, are from left to right Minister George, Minister Henry, Minister Farrakhan, Captain Joseph, Secretary Maceo, Minister Lewis, and Minister Willie. So even the ministers was in charge of making sure that these papers got in the hands of all black people. And they showing it in the Muhammad Speaks newspaper. So the title of this article is called Muhammad Speaks Cited as Key to Build Program. So when the messenger was alive, the Muhammad Speaks newspaper was the key to the program. That was the key. The keys we got hanging up on the wall. When the messenger was alive, these was the keys to the program of the message. So this article is written by Minister Farrakhan. I want to say one thing about him. We don't be up here trying to bash this brother every week and all that kind of stuff. But when you take these papers, he in the history. It's just the facts. He write articles, and he used to say stuff different than what he's saying now. It ain't our fault. These his articles. He was the one who was acting like he was representing the message. So we're not up here trying to bash this brother. I don't want people to think that like our purpose is just to be talking about this brother. He in the paper. We use the paper to represent the message. He was in there. All praise due to Allah. We don't think nothing different in these papers that we can't say today. So we can use his articles, just like they was using them when the messenger was alive. So in his article, it says, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad once again is proving the brilliance of wisdom and foresight, and that truly he is the only leader qualified to lead black people out of the valley of poverty, nakedness, squalor, and disease to a high ground of freedom, justice, and equality through spiritual and economic independence. Spiritual and economic independence. Because when the messenger was alive, Muslims used to brag about how the Muslims is independent of the white man. Independent of them. That was the point. Is for us to be spiritually and economically independent of the white man. Then he goes on to say, while our black brothers and sisters in the civil rights movement were sitting in, kneeling in, etc., the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and his faithful followers were busy developing the only black newspaper whose policy is completely controlled by the black man. So you see he continuously bragging about the fact this black people doing this. We ain't controlled by the white man like these civil rights leaders are. The civil rights leaders sitting in and kneeling in, but while they was doing that, he ain't say we was helping them. He ain't say we was a part of it. He ain't say we was all my black brothers. He said, why they doing that? We over here with the #1 program of the message.
Right. Yes, sir.
Independent of the white man.
That's right.
While they doing all that. Then he goes on to say, at first, most of us saw the necessity of increasing the sales of Muhammad's speech because we saw in it the most effective method of getting Allah's message of truth through our mentally dead people. He said that this was the most effective method.
Yes, sir.
What we got hanging up on the wall today. He said this was the most effective method to get the truth to the people. Allah's truth.
That's right.
Not just any truth. Not just some truth from some black leader, but Allah's truth. He didn't even say the messenger's truth. He said Allah's truth to the black man. That's what he said.
Right.
Then he goes on to say, now we also see that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad has created for us an industry to attract the necessary finance with which to build and provide the necessities of life for the black man, independent of white control or advice. He keep talking about that independence. Now he said, first he said spiritually and economically independent. Now he said independent of white control and advice. What advice mean? What does it mean when you say you independent of a person's advice? Because it's good for us to look up what these brothers were saying so we can understand and know exactly what he mean when he's saying what he's saying. Advice is a noun that means a suggestion about what you should do. So they saying we're not trying to get the advice from the white man. No suggestions, no information, no guidance, no influence, none of that from the white man. This is what he said when the messenger was alive.
Yes, sir.
So if that's how we feel today, why we got the messenger's papers hanging up on the wall? Huh? If this what we still trying to do, why we got it hanging up on the wall? If this was the best method when the messenger was alive,
Right. Yes, sir.
why it ain't the best method now? What we telling the people now? Is it something different than what the messenger said? Now we want the white man's advice? Now we want his guidance, his influence, his friendship? When the messenger was alive, black people used to brag, Muslims, about how we independent of the white man. Look at them civil rights leaders while they sitting in, while they begging this death. We ain't doing that.
That's right.
We totally independent of the white man. That was the Muhammad Speaks newspaper drive. Then we can go even further than that. Because we want to look at how the Muhammad Speaks newspaper was influencing black people. Because when you see how the Muhammad Speaks newspaper was influencing black people, you will see how hard the Muslims was going, pushing the paper.
Yes, sir.
Because the messenger's articles was influencing black people more than we know.
That's right.
More than what's talked about today. And one of the ways that we can see how the messengers or the Muhammad Speaks newspaper was influencing black people is to look at the riots that happened in Watts.
Watch us on YouTube. Search Muhammad's Temple of Islam through your YouTube app, on your phone, smart TV, or your computer. Be sure to subscribe to Muhammad's Temple of Islam when you watch us on YouTube.
One of the ways. Because you can go to coast and look at the situations that was happening in America and see the messenger all in it. Any situation, any riot, any leader, when you look at the people's reaction to these people, you can see the messenger all in it. So, in this Life magazine, these was devils who was just taking pictures of the riots. They wasn't specifically there trying to do nothing but just take pictures of the riots. This comes from the August 27, 1965 Life magazine. And it says, arson and street war, most destructive riot in U.S. history. That's how big this riot was. At this time, this was the most destructive riot in U.S. history. When you go on the inside of the paper, this is 2 pages. You got the picture of the devils taking a black people riot. tearing up Los Angeles, or Watts. Then you got a little part right here that say, wild plundering, grab it and run. Then when you look at the picture, you see somebody in the riots holding up a Muhammad Speaks newspaper. You see somebody in the riots holding up, these is lost files. Got his paper with him. This was the messenger going to Detroit. Now this brother, I don't know where he got the paper or what, but he had his paper with him.
Yes, sir.
He wanted the people to know, this Muhammad.
Right.
We with the messenger.
Right.
Because when them civil rights leaders tried to come to that riots and speak, the people didn't want to listen to them at all. When Dr. King came, when all of them NAACP and all them came, them black people in the crowd didn't want to listen to them. They was with Muhammad.
Yes, sir.
So I don't know where he got this paper or what, but he got it. That let us know. You don't never know what brother's doing with these papers when you give it to him. Riot going on, he still got his paper.
Right. Yes,
He see them devils taking pictures. I got my Muhammad Speaks with the messenger. That's how it was. So then you can even go to the Jet magazine, who covering this same riot. It says this is the September 16, 1965 Jet magazine. They not covering the civil rights leaders that came. So it says, this article, it says, perhaps the greatest single blow to the leadership came when Nobel Peace Prize winner Martin Luther King Jr. was forced to invoke the name of Elijah Muhammad to gain a hearing in the riot-scarred community of Watts. So when this brother was holding up his Muhammad Speaks newspaper, that's showing you all these people was with the messenger.
Yes, sir.
Now, Malcolm wasn't in Watts. The brother from Boston wasn't in Watts, but the people was with the messenger.
Yes, sir.
When you read the history, they was with the messenger. Martin Luther King, one of the biggest civil rights leaders there is. They still talk about him like he was all that in a bag of chips. But when he came to Watts, we already talked about last week when Jeremiah was beating on him.
Yes, sir.
Now he go all the way to Watts, to see Elijah Muhammad.
Yes, sir.
Now I see the angry crowd won't even listen to me unless I say his name.
Yes, sir.
All this stuff I got to say. I'm the big-time civil rights leader, Dr. Martin Luther King.
Yes, sir.
But this third-grade education man,
Yes, sir.
they beating on me in Birmingham, Jeremiah. He beating on me in Atlanta. I go to Mississippi, Jeremiah beating on me. Now I go all the way to Watts.
Yes, sir.
And I still got this Elijah Muhammad.
Right.
Still got Elijah Muhammad. Jeremiah wasn't in Watts. None of the big eyes in Watts. It's a whole different brother.
Yes, sir.
Representing the messenger through these Muhammad Speak newspapers. The messenger wasn't going to Watts. How many times the messenger been to Watts?
Right.
For them black people to be talking about, we want to hear about Elijah Muhammad. Messenger probably ain't never went to Watts. But the messenger had Muslims in Watts.
That's right.
And when the messenger was alive, they wasn't hanging no Muhammad Speak newspapers up on the wall. They was giving them papers to the black man.
Right.
The black man was reading it.
That's right.
The black man was loving what the messenger was saying. So when them civil rights leaders came, like, no, where Muhammad at?
That's right.
Want to hear nothing from no Dr. King?
Yes, sir.
Them riot-scarred young people wanted the messenger. And this is the documented facts about the messenger. And this shows us, too, how it wasn't none of these brothers. Jeremiah was getting love down in the South. Malcolm was getting love in New York. Whole nother brother getting love in Watts. It ain't had nothing to do with them. But Elijah Muhammad, they was representing the messenger. That's the one thing you will realize when you look at this history. Everything was representing the messenger.
That's right.
The minister was representing the messenger. The Muslims was representing the messenger. And the Muhammad Speaks newspaper was representing the messenger.
That's right.
So the messenger probably ain't never went to Watts. Never went to Greenwood, Mississippi. Never went to Birmingham. Never went to Miami. Never went to some of these cities, but the people knew who he was.
That's right.
Because he got representatives in them cities.
Yes, sir.
And when they read and heard about the messenger, they loved the messenger.
Yes, sir.
And that's why these brothers got the kind of love they got. Because of the messenger. So it says It says that near catastrophe for King and the police raid on the Muslim temple, which aroused Muslims and non-Muslims, overwhelmingly increased the sex bargaining power. Because the devil just raided the temple in Los Angeles. Because they raided that temple twice, in 1962 and 1965. And it says that that near catastrophe for King and the police raid on the Muslim temple, which aroused Muslims and non-Muslims alike.
Yes, sir.
So the Lost Files was upset about that too.
Yes, sir.
So this riot was more than just us tearing up this town. They done just raided that Muslim temple. We like Muhammad now. We love them Muslims. Because when you look at this history of this temple in Los Angeles, when you look at that temple in New York when they raided, the Lost Files reacted the same way. They reacted the same way in New York as they reacted in Los Angeles. Same way. They was all involved. Like the devils are trying to attack the Muslims. Because the messenger was talking black love, black brotherhood, black sisterhood.
That's right.
And you could tell, even when they showed in New York, when they had that police raided that temple, they had a rally afterwards. When you listen to them black people they let talk, because they let black people in the community talk, you can tell by the language that they love the message.
Yes, sir.
They was talking that black brother, black sister, the Muslims, all that. That's how they was talking. They don't talk like how we talk now. They was like the brothers,
Yes, sir.
the black man, the sisters. That's how they was talking. And you can tell they've been reading and been influenced by the messenger just by how they was talking. Just by how they was letting it be known, I'm a Christian, but I'm with the Muslims.
Yes, sir.
Because most of them people wasn't even Muslims. But they respected the Muslims. And they wanted it to be known we with them. They ain't just raid no Muslim temple. We love the Muslims.
Right.
That's how it was in Los Angeles about the messenger. So it goes on to say, it says the first local Negro leader to openly admit the influence of the Muslims was Assemblyman Melvin Damley. He said Shabazz could be one of the most stabilizing voices in the ghetto, Damley says. Then this brother named Norman B. Houston said, the stupidest thing in the world is to try to ignore Shabazz's influence. So when all them people was coming, all them civil rights leaders, now they left down south with Jeremiah. Now they come to watch to see what we gonna do. How we gonna, fix this problem with all these angry people. They telling them the most stupidest thing to do is just ignore this Shabazz brother. You gotta include him too.
Right.
Y'all can't just be coming out here like y'all these big civil rights leaders and just leave this brother out. That would be the stupidest thing to do.
Right.
That's what these people telling these civil rights leaders. Then it goes on to say, it says Shabazz, who Chief of Police William H. Parker is said to regard as the most dangerous man in California. This is the history that we got hanging up on the wall. Because in this new school stuff, we want to make it seem like, I was the national representative for the messenger. That ain't mean nothing when you look at the history. Because another thing we don't see when we look at these Muhammad Speaks newspapers, how many ministers was getting relieved. How many ministers was getting set down. We don't see when you got the paper hanging on the wall. You can sit up here and tell these people, like, I was the national representative for them. That ain't mean nothing. The messenger still had investigations, listening to your speeches. You still had to send it into Chicago. It ain't make no difference because you was no national representative. But if you don't got the paper, you can't see how many temples had different ministers over the years. You can't see that. Captains too. Messenger will leave you in a minute. Because Brother Jeremiah, when he was talking, he said we all made a lot of mistakes. He said the messenger wasn't no hard man to just be on you. He let you do. If you a sincere brother trying to work, the messenger let you work. Because Jeremiah said, I made a lot of mistakes. He said we all made a lot of mistakes. But the messenger, once he saw you rebelling, you ain't teaching it like I want you to teach it, you was out of here. That ain't mean nothing because you was no national representative. But if you don't see the papers, you can't see the history. See how the messenger was, because you learn the messenger through the paper. Because you can listen and read the messenger's article. Then you can see what he'll do to people who went against what he's talking about. But if you don't got the paper, you can't see that. And that's what these brothers don't want you to see. They don't want you to see that this brother, John Shabazz, was just as powerful in California as the national representative was in New York. He ain't on the national radio broadcast. He ain't no national representative, but he representing the messenger. Just like the national representative is. The only difference between a national representative and everybody else is he was doing stuff on the national level. The camera is the one who letting everybody see him nationally. The radio. So he teaching Islam just like John is, but he over the radio. He in the camera. But he telling the black man the same thing James telling. The reaction of the black man to him is the same as Brother James. Same as Jeremiah. But when we got these papers hanging up on the wall, how you know that? If you a true brother and you love the brotherhood, you want everybody to know how strong, therefore, I was. I'm telling you. When you see these papers and see these brothers, you want everybody to know these brothers with the message. The messenger followers. Look at this brother Jeremiah. Why would you be ashamed if you were Muslim? Let everybody know about Jeremiah. Let everybody know about his hard work for the message. Why would you be ashamed to tell them about John Shabazz? Malcolm X when he was a minister. You wouldn't be ashamed if you were sincere. But if you're not sincere, you will hide all these brothers' hard work. That's a shame. This is a brotherhood. You shouldn't be ashamed to tell somebody about some other brother's hard work. The messenger said, your success is my success. When you see Brother Jeremiah, you ain't looking at him. He a Muslim. It's my brother. Happy to tell everybody about this brother worker. He loved the messenger like me. All praise due to Allah. Any true Muslim don't want see no messenger's papers all on no wall. Tell him. You wouldn't even want to go support this. Because you think something wrong with this. All this history in this. All these articles that the messenger was writing, you mean tell me you just gonna hang it up on the wall? Then when them little Savior's days come, you got all these people gotta pay to come see the messenger picture. Muhammad speaks on the wall. They don't even got the heart to let them come in there for free. These papers don't belong to you. These belong to the black man. This is the #1 program of the Nation of Islam. So if you got a temple, these papers should be just as valuable as that temple is. All praise due to Allah. If you still wear an FOI uniform, you ain't got your FOI uniforms hanging up on no wall. You wearing it. So just like you wearing your FOI uniform, these papers should be in the hands of the black man. It should be online somewhere. They should have some kind of access to these papers. Because there's a lot of history in them papers that black people don't understand the messenger because they trying to hide the truth. So it goes on to say, it says the most popular lawmaker during the riot was damned. The city's civil rights leaders club, which included Reverend James Haggard, Reverend Thomas Kilgore, Reverend H. Hartford Brookins, and author Louis Lomax, and excluded court director Don Smith and others, was completely ignored by impoverished Negroes after the riot broke out, many of whom claimed they had never seen their leaders except for on TV. That's why them black people didn't want us to hear nothing about no Dr. King and none of them other people. We only see you on TV. But Brother John Shabazz, what it say about this brother? It says Shabazz, on the other hand, knows all the gang leaders, many of them former convicts. Most of the poor people in the ghetto know him by sight and admire him because his concern with their problems, whether they agree with his religious philosophy or not. Just like with Jeremiah, he lived in the slums down there in Atlanta. Same with this brother. Them brothers knew Brother John and the Muslims. All that hard work they did to turn California for the message. That the civil rights leaders, when they come down there, they got to go talk to John. John ain't tell them that. Ain't no Muslims found telling these civil rights, these preachers, these hog eaters, these Christians that they praise today. When old big time Dr. King came down there to Watts, one of the messenger's ministers. Messenger had ministers everywhere. But one of them, the one that was in Watts, big time Dr. King, had to see him. That's the history. It ain't had nothing to do with your title. It was the message. All of these people love the message. So we can go even further than that. Because this also shows how the messenger represented Islam different from us. We saw last week how the messenger was beating on old Whitney Young from the Urban League. Then you got into Muhammad Speaks in 1968. The Urban League cites Nation of Islam for drive to unity, unified black community. Urban League giving the messenger a war. Not because he was with the old My Black Brother stuff. He was beating on him. That's how black people start to accept the message. It's different from us now. We had these papers. And the reason why we had these papers too is because we not leading the black man. The messenger was a leader. All praise is due to Allah. He didn't have to bite his tongue. He didn't have to do the old My Black Brother stuff. He didn't have to compromise on nothing. He told you exactly what Master Farad Muhammad told him. And if you didn't accept it, he beat on you. Then after you took that beating for so long, like, oh, we want to give him a war. You doing a good job there, Mr. Muhammad. That's how Muslims used to be. They beat them into submission. That's what you see when you see these Muhammad Speaks newspapers. It wasn't none of that. Oh, because to be honest, I used to believe that oh My Black Brother stuff was how we were supposed to be as Muslims. I didn't know. I knew Muslims was militant, but I didn't know they was that militant. The way the message used to talk about these people, I used to think that was bold. Before, I'm telling you, the way he'd just straight up talk about Whitney Young and write an article about this man. Talk about the NAACP, talk about Dr. King, talk about Malcolm like that. He didn't care nothing about what black people felt about Malcolm X. He used to call him a hypocrite. Care nothing about him. You can sympathize with him if you want to. He a hypocrite. And he an example for all hypocrites, what happened to him. They weren't sitting up there talking about, oh, look what happened in front of his children. Now, so what? That's his fault. He teaching bloodbath in front of his children. He shouldn't have did it. He should have told them to stay home. It make no difference to us. He got what he deserved. Was a hypocrite. The messenger talked about other hypocrites who left the nation. He wasn't sympathizing with them. When you look at the Nation of Islam during the time of the messenger used to have unity with them civil rights leaders because Martin Luther King came, Cord and them came, SNCC. But you, one group of black people, or them brothers who left the nation, showing the Muhammad Speaks what Muslims was trying to unite with them. One Muhammad Speaks newspaper. Messenger said, once you leave, between you, God, and the devil. I don't go after you. He told Muslims, we don't socialize with those in bad standards. So out of all them Muslims who used to be Muslims and formed their own group, you never saw Muslims have talk about no unity with them. Never. Do the history. Do the history of all the black people who left the Nation of Islam and formed their group. And then you show me one Muhammad Speaks newspaper where some Muslims was trying to have unity with them. They was taking pictures with them. Talking about he doing a good job. They ain't never do that. That was the message. But in this new school stuff, anybody, Dr. Say, this brother can tell Muslims I was a Muslim and I sat at the table with the message. But I got these herbs. I say, oh, let me try one of them. It's this new school stuff. Muslims wouldn't socialize with him. Muslims be telling everybody he taking it from the message. Nobody want no herbs from this brother. He was a deaf, dumb, and blind Negro nigga and colored boy like us all. Want no herbs from him? Hell is he? Want nothing from this brother. He used to be a Muslim. That's how Muslims used to talk and tell him. Tell you, before I used to read these Muhammad Speaks newspapers, I used to think the old My Black Brother stuff used to be what we supposed to do. Be sympathizing with people. Oh, we ain't gonna tell this sister not, because she might not come. Please, tell him. Because back when YouTube first came out, they used to have them lectures in the temple. That's when you really could see how the messenger was. When you listen to these brothers, the way they used to talk. They used to talk real fiery to Muslims. It wasn't all that sympathizing with them like, oh, brother, no, brother, look, man, what's up? When you listen to them stories of them brothers. I remember the first time I heard a brother tell me a story, I was watching on YouTube. He was saying something about the captain had said something about going to get a brother. I was like, wow. And he said it like that was normal. He said, yeah, the captain wanted to see this brother and we went and got him. I'm like, they used to just go get brothers. Listen to how they talk about an inspector will come in your house and open your refrigerator. Right. All this stuff I used to listen to, I didn't know at first. I didn't know they had no investigator. When I heard that the messenger would have them brothers record their lectures and they had to send it to Chicago. That's right. I used to think, you a minister, you teaching Islam. The messenger even had brothers sitting in the crowd listening to brothers. Listening to brothers. This national representative, he was talking about one time. I tell this over and over and over again. He was talking about how the messenger was telling him to teach some Afrocentric thing he was supposed to be going to. He said he didn't want to teach it like the messenger said, but he didn't tell the messenger that. I guess the messenger must have sensed it that he didn't want to do it. So he said, the messenger had the brother who was the minister in Atlanta sitting in the crowd, listening to him. And he said, tell me if he say what I told him to say. He the national representative. That's what he said. And it was 2 brothers I heard say that. The messenger ain't just because you know now. Do what I tell you to do. Right. Go see if he do it. Right. Care nothing about no national representative. You just another brother like everybody else. That's right. That's why the messenger used to have in the Muhammad Speaks newspaper. He used to have no big eyes and little U's. That's right. And in my closing, I got to talk about this one. This that riot that they had in New York when they raided the temple in New York and Harlem. This in the New York Times. Lost founds. This day history. This ain't in the Muhammad Speaks. Lost founds got into it. After them brothers fought them police and threw them out the temple, Lost founds started fighting the police outside the temple. Like they ain't gonna destroy the Muslims. So when the Lost founds heard that the police was trying to destroy the Muslims, Lost founds came out to help the Muslims. Yes, sir. That's how much black people love the messenger. That's right. They came out. This is a police car. This is an unmarked police car. Lost founds tipping it over. Lost founds jumping on plain clothes police. They trying to destroy the Muslims. This the documented history. Right. Just like how it was in Los Angeles. When they raided that temple, the Lost founds got upset. So when them preachers came, and we love Brother John know us by name. We know him. He always out here with us. Why y'all ain't got him included with y'all little thing? That's right. Why y'all ain't talking about Muhammad? Right. So them civil rights leaders recognized the love that them Muslims had, or that the people had for the Muslims. So now, Dr. King say, oh, Elijah Muhammad, my brother too. Yes, that's the history. The people love the messenger. That's right. Because in these Muhammad Speaks newspapers, the messenger was teaching us how the black man must rise. Yes, sir. Well, brothers and sisters, we don't want to prolong the time. So I leave you as I came in the nation of Islam's greeting words of peace of Assalamu alaikum.
Enjoying the show? Help keep us on the air. 313-371-7033. That's 313-371-7033 to make a donation.
Brothers and sisters, we rise for prayer. In the name of Allah, the beneficent, the merciful. All praise is due to Allah, the Lord of the worlds, the beneficent, the merciful. So, Master's Day of Judgment in which we now live. The alone do we serve, and the alone seek for thine help and aid. O Allah, please guide us on the right path. Path of those upon whom thou bestow thy favors. Not on the path of those upon whom thy wrath is brought down. Nor those who go astray have they heard thy teachings. Say he, Allah is one God. Allah is he of whom nothing is independent, but upon whom we all depend. He begetteth not, nor is he begotten, there is none like him. And I bear witness that none deserve to be served, worship, praise besides Allah, who came in the person of Master Farad Muhammad. And I bear witness that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is thy true servant and last apostle. Ameen. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us not to do anything to anyone that we wouldn't have done it to ourselves and treat everybody right, even the devil. Assalamu alaikum.